what HB 1289 really is. Oklahoma HB 1289 is framed as an academic loyalty oath ban, but its true function is far broader and far more dangerous. The bill prohibits colleges and universities from requiring any applicant, employee, student, or contractor to provide statements about diversity, equity, inclusion, marginalized groups, anti-racism, social justice, or intersectionality. On paper, it looks like a ban on ideological litmus tests. In practice, it is a ban on acknowledging marginalized people at all. HB 1289 is not a neutral bill. It is a silencing bill, a visibility bill, and a punishment bill. And its impact on LGBTQ plus Oklahomans, especially LGBTQ plus educators and students, is profound. HB 1289 forbids higher educational institutions from asking about a person's experience with DEI, asking about their work with marginalized groups, asking about their contributions to social justice, asking about their understanding of intersectionality, asking about their past or planned DEI efforts. This means a queer professor cannot talk about mentoring LGBTQ plus students. A trans applicant cannot mention their work supporting marginalized youth. A faculty candidate cannot discuss inclusive teaching practices. A department cannot ask whether a candidate knows how to support a diverse classroom. A university cannot require training on LGBTQ plus inclusion. The bill creates a right of action, meaning anyone can sue a university for violating these restrictions. This is not just a ban, it is a threat. LGBTQ plus faculty already faces discrimination, harassment, pay inequity, lack of institutional support, and pressure to hide their identity. HB 1289 intensifies all of this because LGBTQ plus identity is often framed within DEI work. The bill creates a chilling effect. Professors may fear mentioning their identity in interviews. Staff may avoid discussing LGBTQ plus issues in trainings. Educators may stop mentoring LGBTQ plus students to avoid being labeled DEI aligned. And departments may avoid hiring openly LGBTQ plus faculty to avoid lawsuits. The bill does not have to mention LGBTQ people to harm them. It harms them by erasing the frameworks that protect them. Students rely on DEI programs for safety, community, mental health support, crisis intervention, inclusive curriculum, campus climate protections. HB 1289 undermines all of this by discouraging LGBTQ plus affirming training, suppressing inclusive teaching, silencing discussions of marginalized identities, making faculty afraid to support LGBTQ plus students, and weakening campus protections against discrimination. When DEI is banned, LGBTQ plus students lose the infrastructure that keeps them alive. HB 1289 never says LGBTQ. It doesn't have to. By banning DEI, marginalized groups, intersectionality, and social justice, the bill targets every community that relies on these frameworks for survival, and this includes LGBTQ plus people. But for those that always say, it's not me that they're after, I'm not the target, it also affects Black and Indigenous students, disabled students, first-generation students, immigrant students, religious minorities, and women in male-dominated fields. The bill's language is broad by design. It is a dragnet for every identity the state wants to silence. HB 1289 creates an environment where professors feel censored, departments avoid inclusive hiring, universities cut DEI programs, trainings disappear, student organizations lose support, research on marginalized groups becomes risky, and LGBTQ plus topics become taboo. This is not academic freedom. This is academic suppression. When a state passes a bill that tells you you cannot talk about who you are, you cannot talk about who you support, and you cannot talk about the communities you belong to, the message is clear. You are not welcome here. This leads to increased anxiety, increased depression and isolation, increased dropout rates, increased faculty turnovers, and increased suicide risks. Silence is not neutral. Silence is violence when it is enforced by law. HB 1289 is part of a coordinated legislative strategy that includes HB 1219, as we discussed, banning pride recognition, and HB 1225, banning the birth certificate changes, restrictions on gender-affirming care, restrictions on LGBTQ plus curriculum, restrictions on LGBTQ plus visibility in public institutions. HB 1289 is a higher education arm of this strategy. It targets the pipeline of future teachers, future counselors and social workers, future healthcare providers, and future leaders. By suppressing DEI in universities, the state suppresses LGBTQ plus inclusion everywhere else. If HB 1289 passes, LGBTQ plus professors will leave the state. LGBTQ plus students will transfer or drop out. Universities will lose accreditation-relevant DEI structures. Research on marginalized communities will decline. Campus climate will worsen. Discrimination will increase. Lawsuits will rise. Oklahoma will become a hostile environment for anyone who is not cisgender, heterosexual, white, Christian, and politically aligned with the majority. This is not hypothetical. This is the documented outcome in every state that has passed similar legislation. HB 1289 is not about banning ideological oaths. It is about banning the acknowledgement of marginalized people. It is about creating a university system where LGBTQ people cannot speak freely. LGBTQ faculty cannot be hired safely. LGBTQ students cannot be supported. LGBTQ research cannot be conducted. LGBTQ plus inclusion cannot be taught. It is a bill that uses silence as a weapon, a bill that uses fear as a tool, and a bill that uses ambiguity as a shield. And the people who will feel its impact most are the people it refuses to name.